Great. Wonderful. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And welcome to the White House. We are so pleased and so proud to have all of you here today to talk about an issue that is really critical to the future of our nation, and that is the issue of early learning. We have some of the best here to speak with you this morning, including Barbara Bowman and James Heckman, as well as not only two wonderful secretaries of Health and Human Services in the Department of Education, but also good friends and partners of mine, Secretary Arnie Duncan and Secretary Kathleen Sebelius. And I know that you all will also contribute to a really vibrant conversation through the questions that you have, and we look forward to learning from you as well. In addition to that, we have the very exciting news of the announcement of the winners of the Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge. So the secretaries will share that information with you in just a few moments. As the President has said many, many times, in today's global economy, we can't outcompete the rest of the world unless we out-educate the rest of the world. And I think every single person in this room and watching today knows that that begins at day one. That begins with our children at the very, very earliest stages of their lives. Since he entered public life, the President has worked to increase the number of children who are entering kindergarten ready to succeed. He was focused on that goal when he was an Illinois state senator. He supported efforts to strengthen Head Start and child care as a U.S. senator. And while in the White House, he's taken on the challenge of raising standards, improving results, and fostering innovation as we educate and nurture our children from day one. Our view is simply this: if the early years are critical to a child's development, then we have to set high standards, the very highest standards, as we begin to educate them from the first days of their life. After all, how can our children be ready to compete for the jobs of the future if we haven't prepared them from the very, very beginning? So over the past 3 years, we've expanded our home visiting programs. We are proud to do that. We were also proud because that gives parents the tools that they need so that they can nurture and support their children. We've also taken steps to improve child care and to establish new policies and practices that are going to enhance the experience of hundreds of thousands of children in our Head Start and Early Head Start programs. But beyond demanding the most, let's fly up here, everybody's in on it. Beyond demanding the most from our federal programs, we also had to start from the beginning of the administration with the President setting out a challenge to states to build systems that will strengthen early learning environments for all children, for every single child. And with that goal in mind, our administration crafted Race to the Top Early Learning Competition to address some of the core challenges presented in today's early learning landscape. How can states improve program quality? How can they include child outcomes in determining program effectiveness? And how do we build the very best possible workforce of early educators? First, we set the bar high. We set the bar extremely high because we want the best for our children. We ask states to integrate and align their programs, resources, and policies across all agencies to support and improve the quality of all early learning programs. We ask them to adopt consistent and common standards across programs that will help determine what young children need to know and be able to do by the time they reach kindergarten, while also defining the elements of high-quality programs. We ask for plans to improve the preparation and support of our early education workforce so that they have the opportunity to improve their practices and hone the observation and documentation skills that they need to evaluate a child's progress. We ask for plans that will engage families in early learning and development to make sure that they are part of their children's development, and help programs implement appropriate strategies that will improve results for girls and boys. These are the reforms at the center of the Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge. They establish a national vision for closing the school readiness gap and for ensuring that children get the highest quality care and support possible to be successful later in life. We are very, very proud that today we are going to make good on the President's commitment. We will provide support for states that are leading the way, encourage others to follow, and provide a model for better preparing our youngest children. Our payoff here today is not just better test scores and higher graduation rates. Those things are terrific. They're important. They're critical. But most importantly, it will be ensuring that our children are prepared to fulfill their promise and their purpose, to make sure that we have stronger families and that we are supporting them, and stronger communities as well. And ultimately, that will benefit our country and ensure that we have a stronger economy and we're able to compete in a global economy. So I want to thank, as I said at the beginning, two of the most outstanding secretaries, Secretary Duncan and Secretary Sebelius, for being such wonderful partners and making sure that we brought this competition together and that we get to today. And even though today is an amazing day, the work is just beginning as we partner with states and support their efforts and continue to do what we think is so important at the federal level. And now I'm going to call one of them forward, Secretary Arne Duncan, to tell you a little bit more and get today underway. But thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to today's conversation with you.
Before Melody ducks out, can we please give her, oh, no, she's not ducking out, she's staying. But please, everyone give Melody a round of applause. She's been, I just have to say quickly, she has been an amazing, amazing partner. And there's not one thing we've done over the past 3 years, whether it's Race to the Top, whether it's Invest in Innovation Fund, whether it's school improvement grants, whether it's Promise to Neighborhoods Initiative. There's not one thing that we've done that we could have done without Melody's unbelievable hard work and support. She's been just a champion for education. As you know, she's moving on in the next couple of weeks. I'm in denial about that and keep thinking it's not quite true. But whatever we do going forward is a big part of her legacy. And Melody, I just want to thank you for being such a wonderful partner. This is a big, big day for the country. We're thrilled to be here. It's a lot of hard work to get to this point. But we're trying to transform the quality of education for our nation. And everyone here, everyone who is here, absolutely realize we can't do that if we don't start with our babies, if we don't start with our youngest children. With this announcement today, I believe our nation is taking an important step forward in creating a high-quality system of early learning, and one that prepares our youngest Americans for success in kindergarten, through elementary school, middle school, high school, and beyond. Everyone who works in education can agree that investing in early learning is one of the smartest things we can do. Whether it's elementary school teachers or prize-winning economists, they recognize that high-quality early learning programs pay remarkable dividends down the road. It's probably the best investment we can make. Research studies confirm that the best early learning programs boost student achievement and increase high school and college graduation rates. They also show that high-quality early learning opportunities are especially important for low-income students. And if we're going to be serious, if we as a country are going to be serious about actually closing achievement gaps, not just talking about them and admiring the problem, but closing gaps and leveling the playing field, nothing is more important than getting our babies off to a good start. In short, early learning is critical for our nation's long-term economic competitiveness. Through the Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge grants, 9 states will lead the way in transforming early learning programs and services, from a patchwork of disconnected programs with uneven quality into integrated systems that truly and consistently prepare children for success in school and in life. And simply put, that is the goal of this effort, to prepare more children for success in school and in life. And I'm confident that these 9 states will lead the transformation of early learning programs for the nation. States have responded with amazing courage and commitment to the first 2 rounds of Race to the Top. And I'm convinced we've seen more progress in education reform over the past 2 years than we've seen in the past 2 decades combined. Led by Rhode Island. States are tackling tough issues, such as challenging students to meet real college and career ready standards, fixing broken teacher and evaluation support systems, and taking on those chronically underperforming schools. And the impact has gone far beyond the winners of Race to the Top. So many other states, whether or not they received a dime from us, have taken up the challenge and are making courageous decisions to drive reform and to accelerate student achievement. With this announcement today, 14 states and D.C. are now part of Race to the Top, and another 7. Those 7 are New Jersey, and these are not the winners today, we're going to talk about this next week, but New Jersey, Arizona, Louisiana, Illinois, Colorado, Pennsylvania, and Kentucky. Another 7 are eligible for a share of the $200 million remaining in FY11. And we'll make that announcement, as I said, next week. Together, these states serve almost 2/3 of our nation's children and about 60% of the low-income children in the country. In addition, 44 states are working together in 2 consortia to develop the next generation of assessments, and they are also being funded by Race to the Top. So we think we're moving the entire country forward with this effort. Over the next 4 years, the 9 states we'll announce today will use Early Learning Challenge grants to blaze similarly groundbreaking paths. They will be setting a consistent high standard of quality across programs and across funding streams that have been separated for far too long. Everyone here knows parents don't care about program names and about funding streams. They just want great opportunities for their children to learn, to play, and to grow. These states will work to build the very best workforce for early learning programs and provide those committed professionals with a meaningful professional development and the support they need to make a difference in their students' lives. They will create developmentally appropriate assessments to help teachers understand young children's development and learning and measure whether programs are or are not providing high-quality learning environments for children. And all of this work will build on a high-quality network of early learning programs and services across their states. And I want to recognize that all 37 state applicants are benefiting just from going through the process. Every single state put thought and energy into developing high-quality applications, new collaborations, and a clarity of vision for their state's early learning agenda. They put forth innovative ideas that they can and should move from plans on paper to action plans and then to implementation. In reviewing the applications, and we wanted to fund so many more than we could, we just simply funded as much as we had money for, one of the things that impressed our teams the most was the collaboration between states. And although they were theoretically competing for these funds with each other, they actually reached out to work together on some of the toughest challenges. And leaders across the country are recognizing they don't have to do this work in isolation. It just doesn't make sense. They want to collaborate to design developmentally appropriate assessments for children or to pilot ways to evaluate the quality of their programs. In addition, private foundations have stepped up to the plate to support states in this critically important work. Through these partnerships, the impact of the Early Learning Challenge grants will be magnified as states, private partners, and local agencies work together to find the policies that work best for their state's young children. Here at the federal level, we're striving to be a model for that kind of partnership and to cut through the dysfunctional silos of the past. Our team at the Department of Education has been working extraordinarily closely with our colleagues at the Department of Health and Human Services. Without their fierce determination to break down those silos and work together on behalf of children, we simply wouldn't be here today. And I want to thank the staffs of both the Department of Education and HHS for making this happen. If I could ask the staff to just raise their hand, let's give them all a round of applause. They have done amazing work. The theory of collaboration is great. The day-to-day reality is pretty tough. And they work through every single issue together. A lot of hard work, a lot of effort, but I can't tell you how much that means to me and Kathleen and I. And we want to continue to work in that spirit moving forward. And I want to thank Secretary Sebelius, my good friend, for being such an amazing partner on this effort and others. I always say we bonded over H1N1 and trying to teach the country to cough correctly. That was important work. It wasn't necessarily a lot of fun. This one's been a lot of fun, and I was thrilled to have this opportunity. As a former governor, she absolutely understands that we have to educate our way to a better economy, and that education starts at birth. Please give a warm welcome to my friend, Secretary Sebelius.
Well, good morning, everybody, and I am thrilled to be here with Arnie Duncan today at this exciting announcement. I want to start by also adding my thanks to Melody Barnes. Collaboration is something that the Domestic Policy Council has really driven. It's important to the president, it's important to all of us, but particularly at a time where resources are scarce, leveraging all the assets that we have, all the expertise that we have, is just a smart way of getting good products at the end of the day. And Melody has been a champion for that kind of very collaborative, involved effort. I just pretend she's not leaving. So unlike Arnie, I'm not mourning yet because I just don't want to deal with it. But she has been a great leader. Arnie is a great partner. at the Department of Education. And this is really historic. Those of you in this room know how historic it is to have the Secretary of Education side by side with the Secretary of Health and Human Services talking about early childhood, and not just talking points, but this is the culmination of work that has been done very much as partners together. And that is not only producing a great result here at the Early Learning Challenge, but will produce great results for millions and millions of young children for years to come. So again, I want to thank Arnie. Arnie is a visionary Secretary of Education, no question. He works day and night to provide every child in America the opportunity to compete, to have a great education from cradle to college to career, and that result will make America a more prosperous country. The staff work together has been extraordinary, and I know that work is driven by the commitment we all share to help every young child learn the skills they'll need to start kindergarten ready to succeed. And those are critical skills. When I entered public office 25 years ago, I went to the Kansas legislature, and my children were 2 and 5. So this topic of early childhood education was near and dear to me because I was a mother with young children involved in early learning programs. We were just, though, 25 years ago, beginning to understand what we now know so well, how important those early years are in cognitive and social and emotional development. It's clear that investing in early childhood was one of the best bets that government could make. The payoff led to more productive adults, stronger families, and more secure communities. And that research has been now replicated over and over again. I then had the opportunity to serve as governor. And we knew that making early childhood education a top priority was incredibly important. And we quickly saw progress in a state of Kansas. And yet what I experienced as a governor was that we really didn't have a great partner at the federal level. We didn't have the attention or the focus of either Congress at that time or the administration. There wasn't a great deal of interest in early childhood, so states were pretty much out on their own. We stole great ideas from one another, but we really worked within our own state and tried to leverage some private dollars to support improvements. That began to change immediately with this administration. Funds under the Recovery Act, one of the first bills signed into law by President Obama, added more than 4,000 Head Start and early Head Start classrooms throughout the country. We've revamped our training programs for Head Start providers, so teachers are qualified to bring the best practices to those classrooms. And again, as you know, those classrooms serve some of the most vulnerable children in the country. We're implementing rules that for the first time will require Head Start programs that aren't meeting rigorous standards to compete for continued funding, so that our funds go to the most capable organizations providing the highest quality service to America's neediest children. And we're just as committed to strengthening our child care system by working with states to improve health and safety standards and give parents more tools, more information about the quality of care provided by different programs so they can make the best choices for their children. Today, states receiving the Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge grants are building on those efforts to create high-quality systems across early learning programs. So at the heart of all of these efforts is a belief that helping children succeed in school and in life is not just about better teacher training or student assessments or more help to families. It has to be all of those things and more. Every child deserves a quality early education program with a well-trained teacher who brings the best evidence-based practices and curriculum into the classroom. They also deserve families engaged in their education, and they need adults tracking their development and academic process, detecting and addressing any problems early on. And they need to be healthy socially, emotionally, physically healthy so they can learn. Now, this holistic approach is one thing that ties together the 9 states winning awards today through the Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge. They're creating high-quality early learning systems that not only teach our children pre-reading skills, but also provide critical health screenings and build healthy routines around exercise and nutrition. They're creating and strengthening systems to assess the quality of thousands of individual early education programs and to communicate that assessment to parents so they can make informed choices about their children's earliest educational experience. And states are taking steps to actively engage parents so they can help their children succeed. Several states have proposed adopting the new Head Start Family and Community Engagement Framework as a statewide model. Now, this is a first-of-a-kind document that applies evidence-based approaches to help parents take a more active role in preparing their children for kindergarten. We believe that progress like this won't be limited to the 9 states awarded funds today. By pushing everyone, as Secretary Duncan has already said, to raise their game, we intend to foster innovation in early childhood programs around the country, and I look forward to following their progress in the months and years ahead. Last month, I was able to join the President at a Head Start center outside of Philadelphia, and President Obama declared once again, our future is at stake. Our children deserve action. And he's right. The only way America can outcompete the rest of the world is if we out-educate the rest of the world. And the only way to do that is to give every child the chance to enter school healthy, fully prepared, and ready to succeed. Now, I would like, I first of all want to add an additional thanks. I know that many of you in this room are actually doing the heavy lifting day in and day out in programs around the country. We have Head Start educators, we have those of you who run early childhood programs, we have teachers here, and I just want to add our thanks to you. So. You're here representing thousands of others across this country who are making a difference each and every day. And I would like to ask Secretary Duncan to join me back at the podium so we can formally announce the states receiving the Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge grants. Of the 37 applicants, 9 states were selected, and they are, drum roll please, California, Delaware, Maryland, Massachusetts,
Minnesota, North Carolina, Ohio, Rhode Island, and Washington State.
Woo. Yes, indeed.
Congratulations to all those states, to every state that applied. Again, if we had more resources, there are many more states we wanted to fund, and we hope to come back and do more of this going forward. I'd now like to introduce Jacqueline Jones, who's just done an amazing job as our senior advisor and point person in early childhood education. My good friend Barbara Bowman helped recruit her, and when she came to us, we didn't have too many resources, quite frankly, for early childhood education. She drove an agenda without a lot of dollars, with a bully pulpit, with her commitment. And the fact that we were able to secure these kinds of resources gave her a chance to drive the national conversation in a very different way. Thank you so much for your leadership, Jacqueline.
This is such a fun morning. We're having a great time. I'm here to sort of move the program on because we have the great honor of having Dr. James Heckman and Barbara Bowman here to talk with us this morning. But I just wanted to start this by introducing a new partner. An old partner is there in the audience, and I know Linda's going to acknowledge, but we've got to say that Joan Lombardi has been just a driving force. So just in the house, give it up. This is great. Make no mistake, she may not be wearing a federal badge, but she's doing the hard work out there, and we will be hearing from you, I know. I want to introduce Linda Smith, who is the new Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Administration for Children and Families. And Linda has come to us. The childcare world has given us Linda, but she is just a great partner. We are thrilled to have her on this team. You have to acknowledge that this week was a fascinating week to start a new job. So this is a trial by fire, but she has handled it with grace. And I just want to introduce my new partner, Linda Smith.
Well, yes, it is quite an experience to come to a job 1 week before an announcement like this and to even be a part of a ceremony like this. I want to acknowledge before I get started that this is being live streamed, just so people know that we have folks from across the country joining in with us, and we want to welcome them to this session. I want to start by saying how proud I am to be in this job and to have this opportunity today to be a part of this ceremony. For many, many people in this room, and I can look around at many people who we've worked together for literally decades on this issue, this is a phenomenal moment for early childhood education in this country. It has taken us literally years to get to this point where not only do we recognize that early childhood matters, but we're putting our federal money where our mouth is finally. And so I think it is just such an honor, whether it's a week or a year or whatever, into this program, to be a part of this ceremony, and I thank everyone for allowing me to be here. I get to be the first one to congratulate the 9 states, and it is, I cannot tell you how in awe I am of what came in the applications. The thinking, the work, the hard work, the collaboration, it was amazing. And my hats are off to the 9 states and the other states that didn't win, because believe me, if we had more money, there would be more winners. So the competition was strict, and it was, but at the end of the day, I want to make one note that while we have 9 state winners and more states with great plans, that this, I think, agenda has, or this early learning challenge will redefine the future of early childhood education in this country. And I think for that, we owe so many people a lot. We now have in place a foundation for moving forward in a way that we've never had before. So congratulations to the states. But more importantly, I think today the children in America are winners. So I want to thank everyone for coming and say that in particular, those of you who are here representing programs and you are representing Head Start programs, pre-K programs, family child care, and child care centers, our hats are off to you because you do the hard work each and every day to make things better for our kids. So with that being said, I get the last and final honor of recognizing Joan Lombardi, who brought me to this position, but who was so instrumental in making this happen. We all owe her a great deal of gratitude, and I thank you so much, Joan. She's sitting down here in the front row. So now it gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dr. James Heckman. Dr. Heckman is the Henry Schultz Distinguished Service Professor of Economics and Public Service at the University of Chicago, where he has served since 1973. In 2000, he won the Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences. Dr. Heckman directs the Economic Research Center in the Department of Economics and the Center for Social Program Evaluation at the Harris School of Public Policy. His work has been devoted to the development of a scientific basis for economic policy evaluation. His recent research focuses on inequality, human development, and life cycle skill formation, with a special emphasis on the economics of early childhood education. He is currently conducting new research and new social experiments in early childhood interventions and analyzing old experiments. Among awards too numerous to list here, Dr. Heckman was awarded the Distinguished Contributions to Public Policy for Children Award from the Society for Research in Child Development. He is a member of the National Academy of Sciences and the National Academy of Education, And I think it goes without saying his work has helped so many of us move this agenda forward in this country. So please help me welcome Dr. Heckman.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. It's an honor for me to be here today with Secretary Duncan and Secretary Sebelius to share this historic moment for this country. The Early Learning Challenge is a major step in helping states voluntarily build comprehensive early childhood systems that can produce substantial economic and social returns for generations to come. I applaud the Early Learning Challenge being implemented today because it puts into place the wisdom of solid empirical science. A substantial body of research knows and shows that parents matter and that supplementing parental resources and investing in young children promotes productivity and reduces inequality. Well-designed implementations of early childhood programs pass stringent cost-benefit tests and have high economic and social rates of return. They are one of the few options currently here in Washington and in any country in the public policy arena around the world that have none of the standard equity efficiency trade-offs that are true of most public policies. What is fair is also economically efficient and will promote the productivity of American society. Hard empirical evidence shows that high-quality early childhood systems foster the development of critical cognitive and social and emotional abilities, especially for disadvantaged children whose families lack resources and access to early learning opportunities. And we know that these can essentially help reduce achievement gaps and open voluntary participation for society at large into greater social inclusion. Now, the recent research teaches us 3 lessons that should guide any successful approach to child development, and I want to simply review those lessons today. The first lesson is to develop the whole child. Many major economic and social problems, like crime, teenage pregnancy, dropping out of school, adverse health, are linked to low levels of skill and ability. Those with high levels of skill and ability succeed in life. Now, in promoting successful lives, policymakers need to recognize the multiplicity of human abilities. Currently, public policy in most countries around the world, and the U.S. is no exception, focuses on promoting and measuring cognitive ability as measured by achievement tests. Scores on No Child Left Behind tests have become a principal target for evaluating the success of performance of schools in America. PISA tests play a similar role in Europe. This exclusive focus on cognition ignores the hard evidence that focusing solely on the scores of achievement tests ignores important non-cognitive, social, physical, and emotional factors that promote success in school and in life. There is no question, excuse me, there's no question that cognitive abilities are important determinants of socioeconomic success. There is also decisive evidence that these social and emotional skills, sometimes called soft skills, play an important role in predicting life success. And in many tasks in life, we've come to understand they're more important. And there's also hard evidence, a body of very hard evidence on the power of these soft skills. They contribute greatly to performance in society and in workforce productivity. The second lesson that the Early Challenge recognizes, and I hope will receive emphasis and continuing and renewed emphasis, is that inequalities open up early in life. We live in an era of substantial and growing social and economic inequality. Much research in economics and psychology and neuroscience and genetics emphasizes the importance and the origins of inequality, the early origins of inequality, and how to alleviate poverty from its source. A major finding is that the accident of birth is a primary source of inequality in American society, in fact, in any society around the world. Families play a very powerful role in shaping adult outcomes, but it's not just through transmitting their genes. Parental resources, skills, and abilities matter greatly. So we now have understood that gaps in cognitive and non-cognitive social and emotional abilities between the advantaged and the disadvantaged open up very early in the lives of children, long before they enter school. Family environments of young children are the major predictors of these abilities. Now, what we've learned in the hard lessons of social science is that family environments in the U.S. and many other countries around the world have deteriorated in the last 40 years. A greater fraction of children being born into disadvantaged families where the resources available for parenting are small. Due to growing inequality in family resources and parental resources and child-rearing environments, the disparity in the resources available to the children of the haves compared to the resources of the have-nots has increased substantially. And as a group, children from the top of the income distribution receive far more investment in parenting and schooling than ever before, and the disparity between the haves and the have-nots is widening. This trend shows no sign of abating. In fact, the current economic downturn has accelerated it. Unchecked, it will actually reduce social mobility and create greater economic and social polarization in the next generation. It will also increase the burdens on society of ill health, crime, educational deficits for all future generations of Americans. Failure to address this problem will result in great economic deficits with few chances to generate revenue through productivity. The third and final lesson is that early intervention is far more effective than later remediation. The skills that matter can be created. That we've learned. Some 30, 40, 50 years ago, there was a notion that these skills were given at birth, they were genetically determined, God-given. The solid promise of recent research is these skills can be created. Child poverty is not determined, however, solely by the income available to families. It's most accurately measured by parenting resources, the attachment, the guidance, and the supervision accorded children, as well as the quality of schools and the neighborhoods that parents can draw on. Experimental evidence establishes the benefits of quality programs that supplement the early lives of children from disadvantaged families. This evidence is consistent with a large body of non-experimental evidence showing that the absence of supportive family environments harms children and diminishes their opportunities as adults. If society helps early enough in the lives of children, it can improve cognitive and social and emotional abilities and the health of disadvantaged children. Such early efforts have tremendous effects all over the social spectrum. And the interesting things from the point of view of economic analysis and from the debate on the budget and from the debate on the whole question about where government spending should be and where it should be spent most effectively is that the rate of return to this investment in early childhood program is actually higher than the return to the normal stock market over the last 50 years, between 1945 and 2008, never mind the meltdown. So as programs are currently configured in many countries, and there's always room for improvement, improvements in the early life cycle, in investments in the early life cycle of disadvantaged children especially, have much higher economic and social returns than many later life remediation programs targeted to disadvantaged adolescents, like reduced pupil-teacher ratios, public job training, convict rehabilitation programs, adult literacy programs, tuition subsidies, or expenditures on police. So there is substantial benefit, and this arises because life cycle skill formation is dynamic in nature. What we've learned is that skill begets skill, motivation begets motivation, motivation cross-fosters skill, and skill cross-fosters motivation. So a healthy child, free of asthma and lead poisoning, is a child ready to engage, who will learn more and is more likely to be a productive adult. If a child is not motivated and engaged to learn early in life, the more likely it is that when the child becomes an adult, he or she will not succeed in economic and social life. So the longer society learns to intervene in the life of a disadvantaged child, the more costly it is to remediate disadvantage. So returns to early childhood programs, especially those targeted towards the disadvantaged, are so high. Why? Because they build the cognitive, social and emotional, physical and mental capabilities that create success in schools and in workplaces. They give disadvantaged children some of the advantages already conferred on middle class and upper middle class children, including important social and emotional skills and health. Acquisition of these early foundational skills has been shown to increase school persistence, which in turn substantially increases productivity. So for example, what we've learned is that if a child is motivated and bright, the return to a college education, given that the skill base has been established, is as high as 20% per annum, a very high rate of return. But we can build a skill base that creates the opportunity for all to achieve that return. Enriched family and social environments can create the skills that produce the capabilities that promote adult success. A major refocus of public policy is required to capitalize on the importance of the early years in creating opportunity and building capabilities and producing skills for the workforce. So the early challenge launched today is a critical first step in recognizing the importance of the early years and in helping states, local communities, private organizations and public institutions work together to build early childhood development systems that will promote better education, health, social, and economic outcome for all and for many years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Barbara Bowman. And it's interesting because I don't know that in this room I have to introduce Barbara Bowman. Barbara is, of course, the Irving Harris Professor of Early Childhood Education at the Erickson Institute and the Chief Officer of the Early Childhood Programs for the Chicago Public Schools, but she's much more than that. She's been a force of nature for the field. Barbara has been out there as an advocate and a scholar and a researcher and a great lover of children and families, and she has really shaped the field in ways that we are so grateful for today. So it is my pleasure. This is also long before she was Valerie's mother. So it's just my pleasure to introduce Barbara Bowman.
Thank you very much. Secretary Sebelius, Secretary Duncan, fellow child advocates, I am absolutely delighted to be here today. I was in Washington several years ago when the initiative began to be talked about. I see some of our co-conspirators here in the front row. I have some idea of how complex a job this was in putting together and how hard you must have worked. So my congratulations to all of you who worked on this problem. I'd like to tell you a little bit about why I am so pleased to be here today and to have an opportunity to share with you my assessment of this initiative. First of all, with this initiative, the Department of Education is making good on Jim Heckman's message, and the message that the investment in preschool education today predicts social and economic benefits years later. Follow-up studies on children who attended High Scope, Abecedarian, and the Chicago Child Parent Centers shows that early education starts a chain reaction that lasts for years. For many children, early childhood programs are essential, and failure to provide them has serious developmental and educational risks. And we have excellent evidence of the benefits for all children of early education. Race to the Top announces this loudly, that education is good for children, and we need to make it available in the care and education systems of our country. The second reason that I'm pleased is that this initiative is being sponsored by two departments, Education and Health and Human Services, both concerned about the well-being of children and families. The early learning systems that these departments work with affect large numbers of American children. More than half of the 3- and 4-year-olds spend some of their day in the child care or early education system. Yet for generations, these services have been badly fragmented, often with conflicting funding patterns, staffing patterns, and expectations for children's learning. There are appalling glitches in the public systems that have made life more difficult for families and less educational for children. Race to the Top is designed to encourage states to find ways for Head Start, child care, state-funded preschools, and special education to work together to smooth out the wrinkles in and between systems. This doesn't mean that every service in every state has to do exactly the same things. There are a variety of different ways to solve these problems, but it does mean that they need to find ways to work together toward a common goal, the education of young children. Race to the Top is an initiative that will offer multiple opportunities of how this can be done. The third reason to be pleased is that Race to the Top recognizes the importance of education in the lives of young children. School failure is one of the most pernicious challenges to children's well-being. Getting off to the right start is essential. It is just common sense that if children do not have the skills and knowledge they need, they are likely to fail. But some programs do not know what the early learning standards are or feel responsible for meeting them. The partnership between education and health and human services signals to all There is no conflict between the goals of early education and those of Head Start, special education, and child care. All children will enroll in kindergarten, and they all need to be prepared. Academic goals are no more, but no less important than health, caregiving, and social services. Our children need them all. But early education is not a vaccination. We cannot assume that just because children go to preschool, they will automatically do well in school. We need two additional things: ready schools and ready children. For me, ready schools not only have high academic standards aligned across the 12 grade levels, but they also work to be sure that all children are getting ready to meet them. This means they're working with early childhood programs and parents to explain their standards and what children need to know and do to meet them. Ready schools also have ready teachers, teachers who understand that young children develop in unique ways and that they come from diverse families and communities, and they know how to manage these differences. Ready schools also have teachers that are supported and who know how to do their job. And ready schools also provide extra services some children need: RTI, special education, before and after school programs, social services, and access to health care are equally important in K-12 as they are in preschool. And of course, they also need ready children. The achievement gap is testimony to how hard it is to change the failing trajectory when children start off behind. Children need to achieve their developmental potential, like learning language, but they also need to learn the specific language of school. Things like standard English and reading readiness and number concepts. Let me be clear. Most children at risk of school failure are developmentally competent in their own homes and communities, but they just may not have learned the specific things they need for school. Thus, a child may know Spanish or Black English, but not standard English. A child may know how to cross the street, but not how to listen to the teacher. Early education accepts what children bring with them, what they have already learned, and then teaches them what they need for school. Ready children also need qualified teachers, teachers who are trained in how to manage and support a classroom of vigorous 3- and 4-year-olds, but also how to plan an intentional curriculum aligned with kindergarten standards. In some instances, it may be the same teacher doing both tasks. In other instances, there may be differentiated staffing. The important thing is that children have a well-rounded program offering them multiple opportunities to learn. Luckily, we know a lot about how to design programs for young children. Numerous models have proven successful, from Reggio Emilia to direct instruction. Programs will need to assess to find out the curricula that works best for their children. But both the Departments of Education and Health and Human Services have robust research arms well able to point directions. Scientists, economists, educators, policy gurus, parents, and just plain folks know that early education is important to our national future. Race to the Top is a step toward acting on this knowledge. Thank you.
I think we have a few minutes left for questions. First of all, I want to thank both Dr. Heckman and Dr. Bowman. So would you just give them a round of applause and thank them so much for being with us?
Before we get to questions, I want to make sure and recognize one more leader we have in this room. Our fearless leader at the Administration for Children and Families, George Sheldon, who comes with a great passion for early childhood education. It's one of his top priorities, is here. And he had the great opportunity to not only work with Joan, but to pass the baton now to Linda. So I just wanted to make sure that folks knew George was here.
Thank you. So let's open it up for a little bit of conversation. We have mics, and anyone want to start? Questions, comments? Yes.
The funding stream of which you spoke.
There's a microphone coming.
Is it?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. The funding stream of which you spoke, and I'd just like to acknowledge that I'm representing Queen Anne's County, Maryland, and we are so thankful that we were part of the challenge and a winner. Thank you. The funding stream, is it underway currently, or is it something to which we're looking forward?
The funding stream for this competition? I'm not sure.
It sounds to me as though more funds might be coming our way, additional support funds for our pre-K programs and early childhood.
So the funding stream for this competition, the funds will be obligated at the end of this month, and you will have, it's a 4-year grant, and you will be on your way for 4 years of hard work, and we'll be watching. And we are hopeful that there will be additional funding, as we are always hopeful.
Thank you.
Any more questions, comments? This is not a shy audience, whatever.
No.
Okay. So, yes.
My name is Deborah Gist. I'm the Commissioner of Education in the state of Rhode Island. Yes, and we are just so incredibly excited. So I just want to thank the leadership, everyone who worked to pull this together. I think that the partnership between the two agencies is something that many of us who've been in education for a long time have just been so impressed to watch come together. And this acknowledgement from the administration to the importance of early childhood education is encouraging, and I can assure you that we will use these funds well and make sure that the littlest Rhode Islanders are having an excellent experience that's going to prepare them well for school and life.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jacqueline, can I,
Sorry?
as a former governor, one of the things I hope you and Maryland and the other 7 states who are winners will take very seriously is the opportunity and hopefully the responsibility to really share what you know and what you're going to learn with colleagues around the country. I think the fact that we had 37 states participate in putting grants together, we're eager to have this funding, indicates the level of activity around the country. But I can tell you, folks are really looking for best practices. So one of the things that is very exciting is not only highlighting the 9 states who are ready to go on comprehensive programs, but then adding that expertise to states who were really just not as far as ahead, but want to know the best way to use their resources to do the best job possible for their youngest kids. So I think it's both not only 9 states are being funded, but the ripple effect throughout the country can be huge.
That's great. Okay. Dr. Day?
I'm Carol Brunson-Day. Carol Brunson-Day. I'm with National Black Child Development Institute. Secretary Sebelius, my comment actually was in line with what you just said. We are hoping that as organizations that support the progress in early childhood across the country, that we can do some things that will contribute to proliferating what we learn through the work of these 9 states. And so we hope that the departments will continue to keep that in mind and be able to provide tools and information sources and help us help this work have impact across the country.
So please hold us accountable for that. And I would just add, reiterate what I said earlier, that on the previous 2 rounds of Race to the Top, we have honestly seen as much progress and reform in states that didn't get a nickel from us as states we funded. So I'm not just looking at these 9 to move. 37 states now have a roadmap, they have a game plan, and we anticipate great reform there as well. So these 9 can be an absolute beacon, but we're looking for great progress from other states that work so hard to put together great plans for their own children.
Please.
Hi, thank you. This is Lisa Guernsey, the Early Education Initiative at the New America Foundation. I was just wondering if any of you up there, perhaps Dr. Jones, could speak to what put it over the top for the 9 states that were winners. There are many states that have been doing a better job of coordinating between Head Start and child care and others that aren't in that list. And so I'm just wondering if we might be able to speak a little bit to that.
I think what you want to do is, one, this afternoon, take a look at these applications and all the information we're going to have on our web, the reviewers, scores, and comments. But, you know, this was an opportunity for states to tell us at their very best shot at what kind of vision they had for putting things together. And so we were looking at the quality of the programs they were planning, the quality of those plans, and how they had implemented plans before. So I think there's so much diversity across the country, so many different kinds of plans. There isn't one recipe that we were looking for at all. We were looking for that vision. We were looking for things that had been implemented, and I think everybody stepped up to the plate and really did the best they could to pull together in ways that they'd never pulled together before. So I know, Lisa, you will be looking at those reviewer scores and looking at those applications, and we'll have lots of conversation around that. We have time for one more question. I saw a hand. Yes.
Hi, my name is Flora G., and I am a Child Care Center Director in Greenbelt, Maryland, and I brought a parent with me and a teacher with me today. I'm also a lifelong member of NAEYC, and so I'm really excited not only for my state, and really excited about the collaboration that I'm hearing that will happen between states, because I know Maryland has already reached out to other states. But I'm really happy that, for once, people are understanding that child care is education. Because for a long time, I think that there's been a lot of misunderstandings. A lot of young children spend their day in child care. Child care is education, and there needs to be a lot of collaboration locally, too. We need to get child care in public schools and parents. Everybody needs to be involved, and I think this is a wonderful first step, and I'm so very happy to be here this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I want to thank everyone in the audience, the folks who've been looking at our live stream, and just to know that 37 winners have really been doing some hard work and putting these plans together. We're thrilled. Thank you so much for joining us.